Hi, welcome to Taiwan Talk. I am Alex Lewis. This week I talked to Arthur Zhou and Donna Wang of TourMeAway. TourMeAway is a free walking tour company, and they have a bunch of different routes. Some of the routes are called Chill Out Taipei, Longshan Temple Tour, Hunger Games. They have a pub crawl. And I met Arthur and Donna at the start of one of their tours, the Old Town Taipei tour, at a coffee shop. And we had a great conversation about how TourMeAway grew into the company it is now, and their future plans, and how they got into it. Check it out. How did this idea come about?
Well, originally the founder Chester, most of the founders that came up with the idea was that we all been to Europe, and like Chester, he was in Netherlands for like a semester. And the thing is, I was studying in France, and I was working in France as well. And while you're in France, Europe is a very backpacker-friendly continent. So you have people from basically all over the world going there backpacking. They have great resources, and walking tours, definitely one of the city walking tours. It's been going on for 10, 20 years as far as I know it.
It's a big part of just their tourism.
Yeah, it's a big part of tourism. I mean, like if you go to the major spots like Rome, they would have maybe 6 or 7 walking tours per day, and it would be in like English, Spanish, French. So that's how developed it is. And I love traveling, so I think I took a little gap year after working in France. I did a trip from Europe all the way back to Taiwan, but I wanted to do it by land, so I did like Central Europe, Central Europe, Turkey, Eastern Europe, Turkey. Went around money in Turkey, so I had to work on a cruise for a couple months, and then I moved from the cruise down. I was going to go to the Middle East, but then the whole ISIS thing was happening. And
ISIS.
Yeah, ISIS. Yeah, so
ruining plans.
Kind of annoying.
Yeah.
And what happened was they couldn't grant entry for my visa to go in, because you either had to be a journalist or I think a businessman or something. So I skipped the Middle East, went down to Nepal, I did India, did Southeast Asia, south of China, and took the ferry back to Taiwan. It took me out a year, but basically it was like a year of just full backpacker lifestyle. I loved it. And different parts of the world I go like, I love traveling, and especially in Southeast Asia, I see so many backpackers there. And as a Taiwanese, I'm kind of pissed in a way, because I'm like, what do they have that we don't have? We got mountains. Like if you want to go trekking, we got so many damn mountains around Taipei.
Yeah.
It's within walking distance. Yeah. And
we're surrounded by mountains.
We're surrounded by mountains.
Yeah, totally.
Right? If you want ocean, come on, man. We want beaches, ocean. We're literally an island.
We're an island, yeah.
We got all over the place, right?
Yeah.
So if you want like city life, oh my God, you got all kinds of city life down there. You got Taipei, Taichung, Kaohsiung. There's very different varieties of city life, different rhythms as well. So I just kind of like, why don't they visit Taiwan? And we have these conversations.
Wait, do you mean why don't they visit Taiwan as tourists, or why are there no?
Why the backpacking guys don't visit Taiwan as part of itinerary? I mean, they would hit Thailand. That's number one, and then the full moon party, the Philippines maybe, but like they wouldn't hit Taiwan. And then I'm just curious. So we had a lot of conversations before, and I realized that Taiwan's not as well known in like the backpacker circuit, I guess. But the people that been always gave
like rave reviews
of it. So it's almost in a way like a hidden gem in Asia. So when I got back to Taiwan, my day job, I work as a filmmaker. So it's like writing and developing stories. That's kind of my strong suit. So I thought, hey, wouldn't it be cool is there anything like that here in Taipei? We do something like a walking tour that it's English oriented. And then we did some research, realized that there's a couple groups, but most of them are kind of separate. And I was doing the tour in Longshan Temple before, and then I saw the flyers for TourMeAway. By the time it was founded by Chester, and they're already finding student volunteers to do it. So I was like, that's a better way to do it, because the best way to do it is not by command. You should be able to do it every day, because that's how it's done in Europe. So I went up to them and I said, you want to do a walking tour? You should do it like this. You should have a pub crawl. You should have like night market tours. They got all kinds of ideas and what kind of contents there should be. And Chester's like, yeah, you're exactly what we need. We're moving towards that direction. So I joined in, and
when was this?
This was I think May 2015. 2015 May. Yeah, it was around time. It was originally founded as a kind of a school club in 2013, but it hasn't expanded until like I went in and we started to talk about how to make it a real organization and how to give it a nice identity through the brand and stuff like that. So that's how basically it started to go. And then we started doing research. That's another aspect of it. That why didn't we have something like this before? And we realized it was because the Taiwanese government, we have a booming tourism business, but the majority of it is from China, which consists about 40%, and then you have about another 20% to 30% that is Japanese and Koreans, and then you have the rest, Southeast Asia, which is growing, and you have people also from Hong Kong, Macau, Singapore, Chinese-speaking, areas.
So there wasn't like a lot of demand for
English-speaking tours. But what we thought was they're the people that need the tour the most because they need to get the message out, right? They need to get the message out. So every time we realize in the beginning, most of the tourists they come. It's all usually like a 4-day trip because they're transferring somebody somewhere else. The flight is cheaper. So within 4 days or 5 days, they really don't have a lot of time to get deep into stuff. So what we offer as a walking tour is we'll tell you stories. We'll take you in the streets. We'll tell you where people hang. We'll take you to the tourist spot as well, but we'll give you a different aspect of the tourist spot because you're going to go to the tour later, maybe a little bit.
Check out a little bit.
So we're going to start like this tour, Old Town tour, that we're going to start at 228, and that's kind of a tourist spot. But if you don't know the stories, you're just passing by, and it's kind of like not like a well-designed park, but if you know the stories, it's actually really significant. Yeah. So that's what we do ultimately. We tell stories.
Nice. And is this the most the most popular tour that you have?
It depends on the season. I would say, I think Old Town is definitely one of the most popular in terms of the free walking tours because it's one of the first tours we had, one of the basic as well. It's basically a history tour and it's Taipei or Taiwan for dummies. So it's got a lowest entry. But the other two tours, Longshan Temple is more of a Longshan Temple. It's a totally different experience. It's at night. We take you through the Longshan, basically the Longshan Temple area, which is old districts of Ximending, and then it's kind of a old civilization tour. We take you to Huaxi Jie, it's slightly different. We take you to pray with us in the Longshan Temple. It's more of a ceremony there. Yeah.
So you have a tour geared towards everybody, like every type of tourist. So if somebody wants to learn about the history of Taipei, you have a tour for that. If you have one that's like a pub crawl, people just want to get drunk and want to hit up the the hot spots.
Yeah.
Which is your favorite tour? Actually, have you been on all of them?
Yeah, I've been on all of them. That's a good question, man. That's like asking which is my favorite kid. It's hard to
put it on paper. Let's go.
Yeah, it's hard to put on paper which one it is. No, I think they cater different, and they have one of the most important aspects of designing these tours is we want to make sure they're as different as possible. I was mentioning for Longshan Temple Old Town, it's really different. We have another one called Chill Out, and that is just chill. It's more modern lifestyle. We take you from like in the Yongkang area, and it's this, and we go to the Dan Park. So the way the stories are told there is also vastly different. And I personally designed a chill out tour, so for me, that's something that I'm most familiar with, and I think that's a really vital aspect because I think that's what differs Taipei as a city with all the other major cities in Asia. Because if you think about, we're talking about characteristics in major cities. You've been to Beijing and all those places. Like when you say like I'm going to Bangkok or I'm going to Tokyo, you get this image popped up. Exactly, like what kind of lifestyle, what kind of stereotypical,
what you can expect from that city.
Yeah, Taipei doesn't have one. People are just like, is it China? Is it not China? And you get a political situation, and it's like it's so far down. Is it Japan? Is it not Japan? And it goes so down. And then the worst type of description that I get is like, Taiwanese people are very nice. That's like saying like, dude, like you have no adjective to describe who people you see. That's why you say
so backhanded.
Yeah, so backhanded. So chill out was actually what I was trying to do was to give it more of a character, like compared to major big cities like Hong Kong or Beijing or Tokyo, Seoul. I think Taipei is relatively chill. And that's why we take you, like, during that tour, we take you, like, in the parks, we take you in the alleys where we have some tea, we go try some nice food at Yongkang. We take you to different chill outs. And I think that's a very, very underestimated aspect of Taipei. And the pub crawl Hunger Games I helped design as well. The pub crawls are fun. It's more of it's a social tour, and it's definitely one of our most popular tours as well. Yeah, and because strictly speaking, there's no like educational aspect of it. It's pure
So
social.
This is beer.
It's beer.
You drink it.
It's Taiwan beer. Although we do take you to try some unique Taiwanese drinks. Like the first bar we go to is Taiwan beer, but the second one we go, they offer free shots of. I'm not sure. Maybe you haven't tried it. It's called Wispy.
Wispy
is like Taiwanese Jaeger. It's for construction workers.
Right.
They drink it to get hopped
They
up.
drink it with coffee.
Yeah.
with coffee.
You can mix it with coffee.
In the daytime?
In the daytime or at nighttime.
In their noon break.
In a noon break. Yeah.
Right.
And then they drink it, and then they mix it either with papaya milk, or which is a drink. Coconut milk. Yeah, it's not papaya. Sasaya is the name of the coconut juice. And there's also we mix it with different stuff. So we go in, and trust me, like I'm pretty sure no other pub crawls like you would be able to try like this, because that's a very Taiwanese drink. Yeah, and
Sounds really cool.
that's really cool.
Yeah.
Come man.
I
Just
will.
yeah,
You'll see me. Saturday nights.
Yeah.
Okay.
8:30.
Yeah, and the Hunger Game is more of a night market tour. But the thing is, see, this is why like we put a lot of thoughts into this. There's so many night markets in Taipei, and people when they come, they go like, oh, we gotta hit the night markets. We go to Shiying, we go to Songshan.
Right.
And to be honest, you can hit those by yourself. So we're not really interested in that. We're more interested in taking you to a night market that's more local, that's less touristy. And
Like which ones?
we're going to take you to Jinmei, which is almost on the border of Taipei, but it's actually very authentic. The thing that most people don't know about night markets is that the reason you have night markets is you always have a temple around it, and that's where people gather. And it's like churches. The people gather in churches. Around the churches, you have a bar area. That's how it usually works. So Jinmei actually preserved that pretty well. You go there, you find the locals. They're buying clothes, they're buying food, and then there's a temple that they go to. It's relative, which you don't have. It's not that kind of you go in. It's like a huge auction block. You know, like you go in and everything is auction. Although there is a certain aspect of life that you see in those particular night markets, but that's why we take you. And then we call it Hunger Games. Actually, we don't call it the night market tour, because the idea is there's about 12 different courses that you can challenge yourself. We won't tell you what it is, but after you eat it, because if we tell you what it is, you probably won't eat it. You're not going to eat it. So we're going to tell you when you're going to eat it, and then we're going to see if you can successfully conquer all 12 dishes.
Yeah, all right. So, can you tell me a little bit about what goes into develop or designing one of the tours? Like you designed the chill out tour. Like how do you come up with like the roots?
The roots.
The root, yeah.
Right now, there's a way we used to do it, and because when it was a smaller group with maybe like 30 people, the founders and then the core team, like Donna included, me, Chester, and Lee, the core team included, we talk about it in our meetings, and that's one way we do it. But when we talk about our meetings, the first thing we always ask is, what else? Because there's so many routes, but you have to find a route with a definitive theme. It has to be very different than what you have before, because if it's the same, why would people want to go there, right? What differentiates it? And then the second aspect of it is, in terms of the route, do you have something to see every 5 minutes? Because it's a walking tour. If you are just like walking all the time and there's nothing to see, then there's really no point. You just take people as boring. And so we talk about that. And the third aspect we also talk about is, does something like this exist in other tour companies? Because if they exist, we don't really think about going towards something that is similar, or we package something it has to be packaged and told as a story differently. Because tours are ultimately just taking you to places you've never been and telling you what it looks like or what it is.
What's significance behind it?
Significance behind it as well. But for us, we don't really look at our tours as tours. We look at it as stories. Like in the story, you have a beginning, a middle, and end. So that's how we design our tours. We always start with a story, and then we end with the story, and we there's questions that we throw out in between. So it's really more like a show in a way. It's like a walking show, but it tells you stories about it, and the idea is to be engaging with the guys, the tourists that's coming here, and we try to not use the word tourist as much because we always tell our guys, like, first of all, don't be just like a guide. Don't show up in one place, say these stuff. You can learn that really quickly. Engage with them. And what we really tries to promote is friendship.
Trying to foster a connection.
Foster connection, because that's how backpackers usually work, right? Because backpackers, they can always go to places, but it's the connections that they ultimately lead with. You know, I was in Taiwan, and there was this really cool group of people, and this is what they do. And you can go check it out, and then you talk about it's a tour, and it's free, and blah, 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 and that aspect of it. So, and that's actually also what attracts a lot of our volunteers. Yeah, when they come, they go, oh, we really want to tell people from abroad, our guests, about our home. So that's a very important aspect of it. Yeah, definitely. And then that was what we talked about within the core team. But we've been doing, because the group is larger now. We have about 70, 80 guides in rotation, and a lot of them come from different backgrounds. So we always promote, like, if you got a route, like, come up with it, let us know. We're thinking about having like a pitch meeting every 6 months. Have people within the organization. Anybody can pitch. Anybody can bring up and ideas for possible tours. Like so that's how we came up with TourMeAway actually, because we have a sub brand called TourMeAway that we just launched, which is tours not always within the city, but outside the city. So it's going surfing, going hiking, and then it's more experience based. Yeah, shrimping maybe, karaoke. Those are different. Yeah. So those are all talked about.
Yeah. So you're starting to branch out.
Starting to branch out for sure.
So going from the small student group to where it is now, what was like the hardest part of like expanding and becoming like an actual organization?
Oh man, there's so much. Every day.
Talking about this every day.
Yeah, talking about every
fights
day.
all the time.
Yeah. I think there's different periods. I think the most difficult period was the beginning when we started to launch tours every day, because it was tour only once by demand, like every week. So it was like one, and even when it's by demand, it's like every tour is like 4 people on average.
Sometimes you have like 3 tour guides, but 1 tourist.
1 tourist. So you're like, why are we even doing this? And then, so when we talk about like expanding to every day, people are going like, oh, you only do it once a week and it's already 4 people. The average is going to go down even lower if we do every day, right? But then, so it was difficult to try to expand to that level, to find enough guides, to find new routes, and to find enough guides for new routes as well. Once that were to happen, we were expecting the average of the first month to be relatively low, like to be really low, maybe like 2 people per tour. But then it actually increased.
Really?
When we started to go every day, it actually increased up to like 7 or 8 because it was more accessible. That was a really difficult part though. That was a huge risk. And I think another difficult part is working with the locals, because when we started in the beginning, we started to pass out flyers in all the major hostels, and we talk to them, we tell them what we're doing. We have meetings with them, and I have to be frank. Most of them don't get it. They go like, first of all, it's free. Why are you doing it free? I mean, what do we get out of it? So they're looking at more of the business aspect of it. But what we're looking at is promoting tours like this actually helps cultivate the backpacker culture in Taipei, and then in turn helps you immensely.
Right.
Yeah.
There's no short-term benefit.
There's no short-term benefit.
Maybe, but
yeah.
the long-term benefit is there.
The short-term benefit will come once the long-term starts to come, because then we talk about, like if you go to Prague or you go to Amsterdam, the pub crawls are linked very, very closely with the hostels. They can sell like pub crawl tickets, and they can get percentages off the tickets as well. But it needs a little time
to develop that
Yeah.
type of infrastructure.
Right.
That type of infrastructure.
And the other thing was that we noticed in terms of hostels in Taipei, there's two major problems. The first problem is most of them are kind of illegal, because there are no regulations that's just for hostels within like the Taipei area. It's mostly, I think it was hotels and mingsu,
Bed and breakfast.
Yeah, bed and breakfast. Yeah, so that's so the hostels always operate under like a kind of a gray zone, in the gray zone. Yeah, and that's one aspect, the legal aspect. The other aspect of is how many people are actually out there to run a hostel that they want.
I mean, like bring the hostel culture
into it. Because a lot of people, they just look at it as terms of real estate. Like, okay, I don't have enough money for a hotel, so I'll run a cheaper hostel. But they don't think about, they don't really think about how to create an environment, how to make people, because when we choose hostels, you travel. Like when you choose hostels, we choose those that looks the most fun.
Right.
And the great hangout, the good reviews. And to do that, you need to actually put your mind into it. What does my hostel mean? How's it different from other hostels? It's about branding. And I have to say, I wouldn't like the majority of the hostel brands in Taipei aren't catered to that, because they're catered towards, like I said, the Chinese tourists or maybe the Japanese or Korean tourists. Most of these tourists are relatively quiet. They're not looking for interactions. They got a buck, maybe 3 Korean girls that come, they're giggling, they're taking selfies. That's stereotype. Those little stereotype. But you're gonna see a lot of those, and they don't really talk to other people, right? So because it's different form of behavior when it comes. So to find true backpacker hostels, that was also difficult, and to find a way for them to promote us and for us to help them, that was a long process as well.
How's it now?
Well, I think it's we have great relationships with, I would say, major brands of backpacker hostels. They know us, they know also what we do, and we're in constant contact. But the thing is, we're still not at the level where I think in terms of the average number of tourists that we can persuade them to collaborate directly, like selling tickets and stuff, because running hostel itself, they're looking at the numbers, and they're looking at, a lot of times they have pressures from the investors to find that pill that you take and then it goes straight up. So most of the hostels right now, we keep good relationships, and they know they want to promote us, but at this point there aren't like direct collaborations yet. Although what we do, there's another thing we do, is we host parties. Like, okay, so you don't have people in their hostels that can really hang out with these backpackers. We have. And how about this? We throw a party at your hostel. It's a theme party, and it's open up for all the hostels to come. And with sometimes the hostels that have bars or other stuff oriented, they collaborate with us. So, like, for example, Oxygen, right next door, we collaborated before on this party, and it was pretty successful. There were drinking games, and it was events, and we promote on couch surfing. So that's one of the other ways that we collaborate with the hostels.
Okay, nice. What are some of the future plans that you guys have for TourMeAway? You already talked about expansion, right, to hiking, which I think is really cool.
Yeah.
I actually go on I'm part of like a running club. Our motto is, we're a drinking club with a running problem.
Awesome.
We get together and we run a trail, and then we just like drink a lot of beer.
You chug beer, yeah.
Yeah, pretty fun. But it'd be really cool to have like I guess a service.
Yeah.
For people who are just coming in here who don't know the area, to be able to go out and like look at hiking tours.
See, like,
things like that.
For example, what you said before about this club, like the club you have, we would love to collaborate. Like, we would love to like send some of our traffic as, because basically what you guys do are extremely cool, and our brand promotes being cool, being fun, being sexy,
activities and just like
activities.
Do,
yeah, it's more about engaging with cool people. So one of the things that we're looking at is collaborating with different organizations that has kind of the same thing, and we collaborate on the activity level. We might be able to send some of our traffic their way. Like before Dada said, there was also like a jogging app, I think.
Yeah.
It was a jogging app. That's what we do, jogging app. So we had a collaboration with them, combining it with some of our tours. That's one of the things that we do. And also, we just launched TourMeAway, so there's more to come with that. We're also looking at, was just like talking before about brewery tour. Like we take you local breweries, because craft beer has been something that's been pretty hot lately. So we're thinking about, what would be cool to do that. There's been talks of like karaoke tour and shipping tour, like as I said before. TMX is definitely it. And we're also looking at, but the time frame isn't confirmed yet, but we're looking at expanding to other cities for sure. Yeah. But also, like when we expand to the cities, we're also thinking, okay, so what's a different type of stuff that we're gonna bring to the table? Because if we just go to Taichung and Taichung has an old town tour, I don't know, because they wouldn't feel the need to actually do it. And also, we were studying the behavior of our customers, or the tourists that come as the backpackers. With limited time, usually they hit Taipei for a week, and then if they got a couple more other days, they head down to Hualien, to the east, because it's vastly different. You're looking at the most diverse content you can find within time. So we're looking at Hualien as well. Yeah, but for example, Hualien is extremely hard to do a walking tour because
it's impossible.
It's possible. You got to do scooters.
Super spacious, yeah.
And then there's all that logistic aspect of it. Scooters, gotta get license for everybody. Is it gonna be safe? And what kind of route? Insurance. Yeah. So it's a lot of little details, but there's usually little details that kills you.
That make or break you, right?
Yeah, that might make or break you. So we're looking at it and definitely looking forward to trying to increase the average, because our average has been climbing pretty steadily. It was, within like 2 years, we started from like maybe average of 4 per tour every day. Now sometimes you have 2 tours a day. To now, I think the average is around 20. Yeah, but there's off seasons and there's peaks and there's lows, and all of our guides, we always tell them, like, we call them the Tamayans, because we're TourMeAway is like short for TMA. So we don't want them to call them guides, because that sounds too formal. Which is like we're like a tribe of guys looking for fun. We just call ourselves the Tamayans. Yeah. Was it to be Tamanese, or like something, Tama? Yeah, Tama.
Some of the TMA.
Some of TMA. So then we just call us Tamayans. So it's like a fun tribe. That's what we do. So that's definitely another thing that we want to do, is to increase the average. And yeah, that's it.
Do you see a good amount of local people, like Taiwanese people, taking your tours? Like, not just for maybe they know the history or they're familiar with the area, but maybe just like for the social aspect.
Well, the Taiwanese people, there's 2 different types. There's one that is really what we call the future Tamayans. Like they're like, they come back from wherever they were traveling before. They're like, do we have walking tours? They look it up and they see us. They're like, this is so cool. I didn't know they have one in Taipei. They join in. They're like, this is exactly what I want to do. What are you guys recruiting, and what are you going to do? So there's a large amount of that. And bloggers as well, travel bloggers. And the other type are people that often they're hosts, not just Airbnb hosts, but sometimes they're hosts because their company has a lot of foreign guests coming for conventions or whatever. So they're always looking to take their guests out for different tours. And they will usually come because, number one, sometimes it's their guest that found us and they says, "Did you know about this?"
Oh yeah,
and
like
they
Googlers.
Like Googlers, yeah. And then they come and then they come. And I was like, "Oh man, I didn't even know this. This is awesome for exactly what I need because I have so many guests that's coming."
And the Canadian team for the university.
Yeah, the Canadian teams. Yeah.
It's one of their delegation joined a free walking tour, and he wants to host a private tour for the entire team.
Yeah. So that's how it usually come. That's the locals that really come. And as for their, like curious people that scattered every once in a while, the pub crawls. A lot of people come for the pub crawls. But I think the local guys, that's those are the guys we approach. Because another thing is, all of our advertisement, our marketing is all in English. It's geared towards it. So we don't actually try to intentionally engage with local medias, because we want people to associate TourMeAway with as even more of an international brand, because that's what we're focusing on. The backpackers have never visited Taiwan. So, for example, TripAdvisor is something that we were really surprised at, because it started with just reviews when we started, and now it's like top. Like, if you check out things to do in Taiwan, like on TripAdvisor, we would come up like top 5 for sure. And nightlife is number 1.
Excellent.
Yeah, so we're like, oh, that's great. Most of them, a lot of the traffic comes from there as well. And if you look at all the other tours before us, they're usually paid tours, like actual tour agency that's been around for decades. Yeah,
Right,
so
yeah.
so we see that as really significant. That there's a huge need for it.
Yeah.
Like people, because it's how people travel now. People don't do tour buses as much, and
They don't go to like a travel agency anymore.
no, they don't travel. They're not looking at the cheapest option, but they're looking at the most fun option, most different option. Yeah. So that's definitely one of the things that we're also kind of looking at. How to engage that audience.
Okay. Is there anything that I haven't really brought up that you guys want to talk about?
Anything you would like to share?
I can share more. Man, you should come on our tour. I'm just saying.
I should,
You'd be perfect for it, actually. Just to check, like, because you know Taiwan, but
Don't know much of the history.
yeah, this is the thing. Like, we always, one of the things when it comes to training our guides, there's a long process of, application, interviews, and eventually getting them in and training them, letting them workshops and shadowing tours until they're actually ready. So it's actually a long period of time, because we want our guides to go out, and if there were some horrible reviews or bad reviews on TripAdvisor, we can say, you know what, we try everything we can to make sure our guides are the best. Maybe sometimes it's not our problem, it's the problem of that particular person, or maybe the weather, whatever. So we really care about the quality of our guides. And one of the most important things that we tell our guides is, remember, they're not you, so they have zero knowledge about Taiwan and Taipei. So when we talk to them, you almost, in a way, almost like talking to kids. Like, how do you tell kids a story and make it engaging, make it fun? And that's actually a very important part of our guides. And for them as well, the engaging part of it is, I think in Taiwan, a lot of times when we try to do stuff, everything always gets messed up because of politics, because the people have different ideas about what this place is. And so we actually want our guides to be as personal as possible. And the reason we want them to be engaging was because that when people leave Taiwan, they probably wouldn't be able to recite the stories because there's so much of it. But they would be able to say, I know this guy, they were cool.
Yeah. It's like the feeling that they impart.
Yeah, it's about the people ultimately, right? So that's a really important part of it. So we want them to engage, to be personal, to have their own style. But at the same time, also approach it in almost like a childlike wonder, like first time seeing it. And I've been doing tours for a while, and every time I know all the contents, but every time I talk to people that's never seen it before, it's new.
Yeah,
It's
it's like you see it through their eyes.
Yeah,
that sort of thing.
it's a unique experience, and people do get engaged with the stories, and that I think is what I take away the most, like from it. Yeah, and yeah, that's definitely. I think, I don't know about other tour agencies, but I think that's something that we really try hard to look at. Yeah.
Not only to our tour guides, but how we design the tour, basically.
Right.
Just to make it easy to understand.
Easy to understand. Yeah. Because it's Taiwan's complicated, and it's always in the gray zone, right? Like in terms of the stories.
It's been in the gray zone.
Yeah, it's been in the gray zone. So it's hard to promote that, because when you don't have, everybody has the same idea of what the place is, or versions of the stories, it's difficult. So in our version, in our kind of the written scripts of informations, we try to tell facts, and we try to make it easy to understand. But we also encourage the guide to bring a little personal opinion into it if they want, but not to be too politically charged
Extreme.
that it would become something that is.
Your tour guide is the lens in which the tourists see,
Yeah.
like the tour and see
Exactly.
Taiwan.
Yeah. So that's very different. And we're always really proud of the fact that there are people that's real local people that really wants to do this, and half of them are students, half of them are people that have day jobs. So they make the time for it because they love this place, and that's also another thing we promote. Is like share that love.
Yeah.
They share this. You share the love of it.
So all the tour guides are unpaid.
No, there's tips. There's tips and donations at the end.
Okay.
It's like the free walking tours are all donation and tips based. So when they do it in the end, they usually get tips. Yeah, there's a small percentage that they give it back to the organization to make T-shirts and whatever, but most of them they keep. But that's also one thing we look at. We realize that most of our volunteers don't come for the money. Yeah. I mean, even the core team, we're not paid. We're all doing this because it's cool, it's fun, and it's what we want to do. And also, we don't see something like this, and there should be something like this, and people want something like this, right?
Wow. All right.
That was my conversation with Arthur Zhou and Donna Wang from TourMeAway. Check them out on the website and check out one of their tours. It's for free, and you can learn a lot of stuff. Even if you're from Taiwan and you've been here for a long time, it's still fun to go on these tours and talk to the tour guides and listen to the stories that they tell you and learn a bit of history and have a little bit of fun. Thanks for listening to our conversation. That's it for this week's Taiwan Talk. I'm Alex Lewis.